The blackness of space was never quiet during war. All around, flashes of plasma fire lit the dark void. Ships burned, hulls cracked. Men and women screamed over comms. The United Earth Defense Fleet was holding the line near the barren moon of Sarah 9, protecting a neutral medical station that floated between the stars like a fragile glass orb. Captain Marcus Hale's hands gripped the controls of his assault shuttle. The Vigilant shook violently as another enemy shot scraped its shields. The Cabal Dominion was pressing harder every minute, their jagged warships circling like predators around prey. "Captain, enemy bombers heading for the med station," shouted his co-pilot, Ensign Kara. Marcus didn't hesitate. "Divert us. Take us in close. Get us under their guns." The shuttle darted forward. Through the cockpit glass, Marcus could see the giant medical station, its shining panels dented and scorched, but still intact. It wasn't a military target. There were civilians there, doctors, patients. And somewhere in the chaos, Marcus knew there were allies from many different species. A distress signal crackled in his headset. It was faint, almost lost in static, but the voice was urgent. "This is Valari Vessel Silverwing. We are adrift. Multiple hull breaches. Requesting immediate assistance." Marcus's brow furrowed. The Valari Empire was not officially allied with Earth, but they weren't enemies either. And the Valari were one of the few species who honored the med station as sacred ground. "Coordinates?" Marcus barked. "3 clicks off starboard." "Bow," Kara replied. "She's barely holding together." The Silverwing came into view, a beautiful but broken craft, its silver hull torn open, venting bright streams of oxygen into space. Marcus could see lights flickering inside. Dying, out one by one, he made a decision. "We're boarding her." The docking clamps latched with a heavy thud. Marcus and 3 Marines moved fast through the airlock, weapons raised. Inside, the Valari ship was eerily silent except for the hiss of leaking gas. Bodies floated in. Zero gravity, most of them still in their ornate silver armor. Then Marcus saw movement. A faint shimmer at the end of the corridor. "Over here!" called one of the Marines. They found her in the wreckage of what had been the command chamber, a young woman, tall and graceful, even as she lay bleeding, her golden eyes half closed. Her skin was pale lavender, marked by deep burns along her side. Her breathing was shallow, and the smell of scorched flesh filled the air. One glance at the silver crest on her chest plate told Marcus who she was. "Princess Arlanis," he murmured. He'd seen her face before, in news reports from the Valari court. She was said to be the Emperor's only daughter, the pride of her people. If she died here, the political fallout could ignite a war between Earth and the Valari. "Med kit," Marcus ordered. The Marine knelt beside her, scanning her injuries. "Sir, her blood pressure is collapsing. She's losing too much, but this is bad. Her blood type is completely incompatible with any stored plasma we've got." Marcus frowned. "The med station?" The Marine shook his head. "They won't have Valari-compatible blood either." "No one does." Kara's voice came over the comm. "Captain, Cabal reinforcements are incoming. We've got minutes at best." Marcus looked at Arlanis again. Her eyelids fluttered weakly. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. She was slipping away. The medic spoke up, hesitant. "There's one insane option, sir. An experimental xenotransfusion protocol. It's never been done between humans and Valari. The body could reject it instantly. It could kill her. It could kill you." Marcus's eyes narrowed. "But it might work?" The medic hesitated. "Maybe. If your blood's immune response doesn't destroy her from the inside first." Marcus didn't even think about it. "Do it." The medic's eyes widened. "Sir," that's an order. Within minutes, they had Arlanis and Marcus strapped to opposite ends of a narrow medical stretcher, tubes connecting them. Marcus felt the needle pierce his arm. Warmth left his veins and flowed into hers. For a moment, nothing happened. Then her body convulsed violently. The monitors screamed in alarm. Her heartbeat spiked, then plummeted. "She's rejecting it," the medic shouted. Marcus grit his teeth. "Keep going!" Her eyes shot open. For a brief instant, golden irises, locked with deep human brown. Her lips parted and a faint whisper escaped. "Why?" "Because you're not dying here," Marcus said quietly. Then her heartbeat steadied. The wild fluctuations began to smooth. The color returned faintly to her cheeks. The medic stared at the readings. This doesn't make sense. Her blood is changing, adapting." Marcus didn't have time to think about it. "Get her to the shuttle now!" They carried her back through the wrecked corridors. Behind them, explosions shook the Silver Wing. Marcus knew the Cabal would be locking onto them any second. As they sealed the airlock, Kara's voice came through again. "Captain, enemy fighters inbound!" "Punch it!" Marcus barked. The shuttle broke away, thrusters flaring. Plasma bolts streaked past them, one grazing the hull. The med station was getting smaller behind them, but Marcus could see the enemy, bombers turning toward it again. "Kara," he said, "tell the fleet we're bringing a high-value VIP, and if the Cabal want her, they'll have to go through me." The Vigilant dove into the cover of a nearby asteroid field. It was risky, but it broke the enemy's line of sight. The shuttle's engines roared as Kara threaded them between massive spinning rocks, barely, avoiding collisions. Marcus looked over at the medical bed where Arlanis lay. She was unconscious, but breathing steadily now. The blood transfusion tube was still in place, his own blood flowing into her veins drop by drop. He felt strangely lightheaded, but he didn't care. He'd seen enough death in this war. If he could save even one life, especially hers, it was worth it. The shuttle finally cleared the asteroid belt. Ahead, the massive human hospital ship Resolute loomed like a fortress in the stars. Its docking bays were already open. As they came in, for landing, Marcus allowed himself a moment to breathe. They had made it, for now. But deep inside, he couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed. Not just for the princess, but for him. When the medics rushed her away, one of them looked back at Marcus with wide eyes. "Captain, I don't know what just happened in there, but it's not over." Marcus watched as the doors to the medical wing closed behind her. He didn't know why either, but he was sure of one thing. This was only the beginning. Far beyond the hospital ship, the war still raged, and somewhere in the chaos, news of what he'd just done would spread to friends, to enemies, and to powers far greater than himself. The first thing Marcus noticed when he woke up was the silence. No alarms, no plasma fire, no screaming orders through comms, just the steady hum of the Resolute's medical bay. He sat up slowly. The room was bright and clean, smelling faintly of antiseptic. His arm ached where the transfusion needle had been, and there was a dull heaviness in his chest, but he was alive. The second thing he noticed was the figure sitting across the room, Princess Arlanis. She was awake, propped up against white pillows, wearing a flowing silver medical gown instead of her scorched armor. Her golden eyes were fixed on him, not with the cold, distant look he had seen in official holo broadcasts, but with an almost searching intensity. "You are Captain Marcus Hale," she said softly. Marcus nodded. "That's me. How are you feeling?" She tilted her head slightly, as though considering the question. "Alive, which surprises me." "You took a bad hit," Marcus replied. "You would have died without the transfusion." Her eyes flickered. "Yes, your blood." Marcus shifted uncomfortably. "Yeah, sorry about that. Didn't exactly have time to ask permission." For a long moment, she said nothing. Then, in a voice almost too quiet to hear, she said, "You gave a part of yourself to me. My people consider that Sacred. Before Marcus could reply, the sliding doors hissed open and Dr. Lorne, the Resolute's chief medical officer, stepped in. His expression was tight, like he was carrying a secret too heavy to keep. "Captain Princess," Lorne began, "I've been reviewing your case. What happened out there is unprecedented." Marcus frowned. "Meaning?" Lorne activated a holodisplay in the air between them. It showed two glowing streams of red and purple, human blood and Valeri blood. Then they merged into a swirling pattern of gold and crimson. "Valeri physiology is extremely selective," Lorne explained. "Your immune system should have attacked. Hers instantly, Captain, and hers should have destroyed your blood cells in seconds, but it didn't happen." Arlanis's eyes narrowed. "Why not?" "Because," Lorne said, "your cells didn't just survive. They adapted. They fused with hers at a genetic level. Both sets of DNA are coexisting. This isn't just a transfusion, it's a biological bond." Marcus blinked. "A what now?" Lorne's voice grew more serious. "It means you are now connected. We ran neural scans. Your brainwaves show cross-resonance. You can sense each other's emotions, maybe even surface thoughts. And the bond, it's permanent." Marcus leaned back. "That sounds complicated." "It is more than complicated," Arlanis said sharply. "In Valeri culture, such a bond is life-binding, irreversible. It is as deep as family, deeper, perhaps." Marcus rubbed his temples. "So, what happens now?" Before anyone could answer, the intercom chimed. "Captain Hale, report to the command deck immediately," the voice of Admiral Rains said. Marcus glanced at Lorne and Arlanis. "This sounds like trouble." The command deck of the Resolute was a hive of activity. Officers moved between holotables, relaying reports from the front lines. At the center stood Admiral Rains, her face grim. "Hale," she said the moment he entered, "you're in the middle of an interstellar mess you don't understand." Marcus crossed his arms. "That's usually the case." Rains tapped a control, bringing up a Valeri transmission. The image of a stern, silver-haired Valeri official appeared. His clothing was ornate, but his eyes were cold. "This is High Chancellor Torval," Rains said. "He's speaking for the Valeri High Council." The transmission played. "United Earth Command, your officer has committed an unforgivable act. The Princess Arlanis carries human blood, an impurity. She must return to Valeri Prime at once for examination and cleansing. The human will be detained and questioned. Refusal will be seen as a hostile act." The message ended, and the room was silent for a moment. "They want her back," Rains said flatly. "And they want you in chains." Marcus's jaw tightened. "And what does the princess say about that?" "She's under your protection until we decide," Rains replied. "But the political pressure is enormous. The Valeri are threatening to pull out of every peace treaty they've signed with us. You've somehow become the center of a potential interstellar war." Back in the medical bay, when Marcus returned to the medical bay, Arlanis was already standing, unsteady but refusing to lie down. "You heard the council," she said. It wasn't a question. "I did," Marcus replied. "You're not going anywhere you don't want to go." Her gaze softened for a moment. "You do not understand, Marcus. They will not merely question you. They will kill you quietly, and they will make it appear an accident." "Sounds like a great vacation spot," Marcus muttered. She almost smiled. Almost. "You saved my life. I will not allow them to take yours, but we must leave. Now." Marcus hesitated. Leaving the Resolute without orders would make him a fugitive in his own fleet, but the thought of handing her over to people who would execute him in secret didn't sit well. "How exactly do you plan to get us out?" he asked. She stepped closer, her golden eyes glinting. We are bonded. I can feel your thoughts. You are thinking about the hangar. Marcus blinked. That's unsettling. She tilted her head. Useful, though. The escape. They moved quickly. Marcus used his captain's access to bypass security checkpoints, while Arlanis kept her hood low to avoid recognition. In the hangar bay, rows of small ships waited. Maintenance craft, patrol shuttles, and a few sleek, dark vessels marked for special operations. Marcus pointed to one. That stealth corvette has a warp core and cloaking system. It's our best chance. A maintenance crew was nearby, but Marcus strode up confidently. Orders from the Admiral. Emergency deployment. Clear the bay. Within minutes, they were aboard. Arlanis took the co-pilot seat, her hands gliding over controls with surprising familiarity. You've flown human ships before? Marcus asked. I have flown everything, she replied. Being a princess is limiting. I prefer the stars. The hangar doors opened, and the corvette slipped into the blackness of space. Marcus engaged the cloak immediately. An alarm flashed on. The console, incoming transmission from Admiral Rains. Marcus hesitated, then cut the channel. The first sign hours later, deep in uncharted space, Marcus noticed something strange. His fatigue was gone. His reflexes felt sharper, his vision was clearer. It was as if his body was stronger. Arlanis noticed too. The bond is affecting you, she said. My people have greater endurance than humans. Perhaps some of that is passing into you. Marcus raised an eyebrow. And you? Any side effects? She hesitated. I feel different, stronger in ways I cannot explain. And I feel your emotions, even now. Marcus leaned back. This is going to get complicated, isn't it? Before she could answer, the console beeped, an incoming message. The face of a thin, pale Valari man appeared. His eyes were sharp, his voice urgent. Princess Arlanis, Captain Hale, my name is Valor. I was exiled from Valari Prime for genetic research the Council forbade, but I know what has happened to you. The bond you share, it is the fulfillment of an ancient prophecy. The blood of two worlds, Marcus frowned. Prophecy. Vialor nodded. It is said that when the blood of a Valari royal mixes with that of a warrior from another world, a power will awaken, one that can unite or destroy entire civilizations. Arlanis's eyes darkened. The Council will never allow that power to exist. Exactly, Valor said. You must be careful. They will hunt you both. But if you come to me, I can explain everything. Marcus opened his mouth to reply. When alarms blared, Arlanis looked at the radar screen. Multiple contacts. Fast approach, not human. Marcus's jaw clenched. Who? Her face hardened. Valari assassins. My cousin sent them. The blackness of deep space surrounded the small stealth corvette like an endless ocean. Its engines hummed softly, cloaked from detection, but Marcus Hale knew that wouldn't last forever. On the radar, the fast-moving red dots grew larger. 3. Enemy craft, all Valari interceptor models. Small, fast, and built for assassination runs. Arlanis leaned forward, her golden eyes scanning the console. These ships belong to the Shadow Wing. They answer only to the royal bloodline. And my cousin, Lord Kalen, controls them now. Marcus frowned. Cousin? So this is a family problem? It is more than that, she replied coldly. Kalen has wanted the throne for years. My bond with you gives him the perfect excuse to claim I am unfit to rule. If I die, he becomes the heir. The radar beeped again. Now the red dots had split apart, circling them like wolves. Marcus tightened his grip on the controls. All right, princess. If they want to dance, we'll give them a show. The first attack, a sudden flash of blue light streaked past their hull. Plasma cannon fire. The corvette shuddered from the near miss. Marcus rolled the ship sharply to the left, skimming past a drifting asteroid. "They're trying to herd us. Into open space," Arlanus said. Marcus smirked. "Then we don't go where they want." The next shot came from above, but this time Marcus was ready. He cut the engines for half a second, letting the corvette drop in space, and the plasma bolt flew harmlessly over their hull. Then he gunned the thrusters again, darting into the cover of a dense asteroid cluster. Inside the field, giant rocks spun lazily, their shadows cutting through the faint light from distant stars. It was dangerous flying, but it also broke line of sight. The interceptors followed, weaving through the debris. "They're good," Marcus muttered. "They are elite assassins," Arlanus replied. "They have never failed a mission." Marcus glanced at her with a grin. "Guess we'll make them fail today." The bond at Orcs. Marcus weaved the corvette through the asteroid. Something strange happened. He felt a pull, like an instinct guiding his hands. Every time he was about to turn, he somehow already knew which way the enemy would come. Then he realized he was feeling it through Arlanus. Her instincts, her awareness, her combat experience, all flowing into him through their bond. "You're in my head again," he said. She didn't deny it. "And you're in mine. It works both ways." They moved like two halves of the same mind. Marcus dodged an asteroid seconds before an enemy ship would have cut him off, while Arlanus fed him targeting data without looking at the sensors. Finally, Marcus saw an opening. "Hold on." He spun the corvette around a large asteroid, then suddenly cut power, letting them drift silently. The assassins shot past, scanning frantically for them. Marcus powered up again, swinging in behind the nearest interceptor. "Your turn," he told Arlanus. She didn't need more explanation. Her hands danced over the weapons console, and two bright pulses of energy shot forward. The interceptor exploded in a brilliant flash, pieces spinning into the void. "Two. Left," Marcus said. Close quarters, the other two assassins regrouped quickly. One came in from above, the other from below, forcing Marcus into a narrow gap between spinning rocks. "They're trying to pin us," Arlanus warned. "Then let's ruin their aim." Marcus yanked the ship into a sharp roll, scraping so, close to an asteroid that the hull sensors screamed warnings. The assassin above clipped the rock, spinning out of control before smashing into another. The explosion lit up the asteroid field. "One left," Marcus said, grinning. The last interceptor didn't charge. Instead, it held position, hovering just beyond the asteroid belt. "They're calling for reinforcements," Arlanus guessed. Marcus sighed. "We need to disappear before they show up with friends." He pushed the corvette deeper into the asteroid field, eventually breaking free on the far side, where a faint nebula glowed in the distance. A message from Valor once they were. Safely cloaked again, Arlanus reopened the secure channel to Valor, the exiled Valari scientist. His pale face flickered onto the holo display. "You survived," he said, sounding genuinely surprised. "Impressive. The Shadow Wing rarely leaves loose ends." Marcus crossed his arms. "We're still waiting to hear why we're risking our necks to talk to you." Valor's expression darkened. "Because what you share is not a random accident. It is the blood of two worlds, a rare fusion that has happened only twice in recorded history. Each time it changed the balance of power in the galaxy." Arlanus leaned forward. "What exactly does this bond mean?" "It means you are linked beyond separation. Your strengths, instincts, even life force can flow between you. In time, you will be able to share memories, perhaps even abilities." Marcus frowned. "And why would the High Council see that as a threat?" Valor's gaze was steady. "Because such a bond is unpredictable. It could unite your two peoples, or destroy one. And your cousin, Princess, sees it as a path to his own power, by removing you from the equation. The trap before they could ask more, the corvette's warning systems blared. A warp signature was forming nearby. Big, Marcus swore. Tell me that's not what I think it is. Arlanus checked the readings. Not Valari, Caval Dominion. A massive warship emerged from warp, flanked by two smaller escorts. Its hull was black and jagged, like a blade forged from shadow. They must have tracked the assassins, Marcus said. The Caval warship hailed them. A harsh, guttural voice filled the cockpit. Human, Valerie, you are carrying a prize the Dominion desires. Surrender the princess, and you may live. Marcus cut the channel. Not happening. The Keval escorts broke formation, moving to flank them. Fight or flight. We can't take them head on, Marcus said. We can outthink them, Arlanus replied. Marcus's eyes narrowed. You've got a plan? She nodded. The nebula, ahead? It has high radiation pockets. Their sensors will be useless in there, but so will ours. Flying blind, Marcus muttered. Sounds like fun. The corvette shot toward the glowing clouds of the nebula, the Caval ships in hot pursuit. Inside, colorful gas swirled around them, blinding external cameras. The only navigation came from Marcus's instincts and the strange pull of their bond. Twice he turned just before the Caval fired, avoiding certain destruction. He didn't know if it was luck or something deeper, but it worked. Finally, Arlanus pointed to a faint shadow in the mist, a giant asteroid hidden inside the nebula. There, she said. We hide behind it until they pass. Marcus swung the corvette into position, powering down to minimal levels. The Caval ships roared past, scanning wildly before vanishing deeper into the cloud. A dangerous decision. When the danger passed, Marcus powered the ship back up. Vylor's face returned to the hollow. You see now why time is short, the scientist said. Come to my lab on the moon of Elthar 4. I will give you the knowledge to control your bond, before your enemies control it for you. Marcus exchanged a glance with Arlanus. Through the bond, he felt her resolve, sharp, unyielding. We're coming, Marcus said. Valor's image flickered out. But as the corvette set a course for Elthar 4, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that every step forward pulled them deeper into something far bigger than either of them. The sky over Veralia was no longer calm. Dark clouds moved like angry beasts, swirling above the capital city. The twin suns of the alien world were hidden, casting the streets into an unnatural gloom. It was not just weather. It was the arrival of the enemy. Jonas stood on the balcony of the palace, wearing his battered human combat armor. It was scratched from battles past, the black paint chipped, but still strong. His hand rested on the hilt of his sword, a strange weapon for a man who carried advanced rifles. Yet, he knew in his heart this sword would be needed. Behind him, the grand palace of the Lithari people hummed with energy as shields powered up. Princess Serenia walked toward him, her silver ceremonial armor glinting in the dim light. Her once pale skin now carried a faint human warmth, a side effect of the blood transfusion Jonas had given her weeks ago. They are coming, she said quietly, her voice filled with both fear and determination. Jonas didn't look at her. He kept his eyes on the sky where streaks of light, the enemy dropships, were entering the atmosphere. How many? He asked. Too many for our ground forces, she admitted. But we must hold. If we lose the capital, all is lost. Jonas turned to face her. Then we make them regret ever stepping foot on this world. The council chamber was already in chaos when they arrived. Generals shouted over each other, diplomats argued, and holomaps flickered with enemy movements. The Karth Dominion fleet had landed on the far side of the city and was pushing forward with heavy walkers and plasma tanks. They'll breach the outer shield in less than an hour, a general warned. Then we fight in the streets, Jonas said, stepping forward. His voice cut through the noise. You have weapons. You have soldiers. What you lack is someone willing to lead from the front. I'll do it. Murmurs filled the room. Some council members still didn't trust him. After all, he was human, a species not part of the Lithari alliance. But Serenya's word carried. Wait! If Jonas fights, I fight beside him, the princess declared. That silenced the room. The princess of the realm herself taking up arms? It was unheard of, but it gave the soldiers a reason to fight harder. An hour later, the streets of Veralia were transformed into a battlefield. Alien civilians were evacuated into the palace vaults. Soldiers took positions behind barricades made from overturned transports and rubble. Energy turrets hummed, ready to fire. Jonas stood at the front line, his rifle in hand. Next to him, Serenya's. Eyes burned with resolve. The first enemy wave hit like a tidal surge. Armored Karth warriors charged, their black armor glistening with rain. Plasma fire lit the streets with deadly green light. Jonas aimed and fired, each shot dropping an enemy. Soldier. He moved fast, switching between rifle and sword, as the battle closed into melee range. Serenya fought with her energy staff, its glowing blade cutting through Karth armor with deadly precision. Jonas noticed something strange. Her movements were faster, sharper, almost human. His blood had changed her more than either of them realized. The battle dragged on. Street after street fell under the pounding of enemy walkers. Jonas led hit-and-run attacks, striking the walkers' joints and vanishing into side alleys before they could retaliate. His tactics frustrated the Karth commander, who began sending more troops to hunt him down. Jonas, we cannot hold much longer, Serenya said over comms as they regrouped in the ruins of an old temple. Her silver armor was scorched, but she was still standing. Then we don't hold, Jonas replied. We hit them where it hurts. He pointed to the holomap on his wrist display. The Karth have a command ship parked on the outskirts. Take that out, and their forces will lose coordination. It's suicide, Serenya warned. It's the only way, he said firmly. Night fell over Veralia, and the storm grew worse. Jonas and Serenya led a small strike team through the shadows, slipping past enemy patrols. The city was burning behind them, the air thick with smoke. When they reached the enemy command ship, Jonas could see its size. It was like a fortress on legs, bristling with guns. The strike team placed charges on its fuel lines, working in silence. But just as they were about to retreat, alarms blared. Karth soldiers poured from the ship, surrounding them. Plasma fire scorched the ground. Jonas fought like a man possessed, cutting through enemy ranks with brutal efficiency. Beside him, Serenya matched him blow for blow, her alien grace mixed with a new human ferocity. But then, a plasma blast hit Jonas square in the chest. His armor absorbed some of it, but he was thrown to the ground, gasping for breath. No! Serenya cried, standing over him. She fought with renewed fury, buying the others time to drag Jonas away. The charges detonated moments later, the explosion, lighting the night sky and sending the massive command ship crashing to the ground. Hours later, Jonas awoke in the palace infirmary. His chest burned, but he was alive. Serenya sat beside him, her hand gripping his. You're reckless, she said softly. You're welcome, he replied, managing a weak smile. Her gaze softened. Your blood saved my life. Tonight I returned. The favor. Jonas didn't know what to say. Outside, the sounds of battle had faded. The destruction of the command ship had thrown the Karth forces into chaos, and the Lithari army was pushing them back. But deep down, Jonas knew this was far from over. The Karth Dominion would not forgive this loss, and the bond between him and the princess, born of desperation and blood, was now something far more powerful. As he drifted back to sleep, the storm outside began to clear. But a darker storm was still coming. The small stealth corvette Shadowhawk floated in the dark nebula, its engines barely humming as it hid behind swirling clouds of cosmic dust. Captain Marcus Hale sat in the pilot seat, his brown eyes fixed on the flickering holo display. Across, from him, Princess Arlanis was calm, but her golden eyes shone with fierce determination. "We can't keep running forever," Marcus said quietly. "The Valari High Council won't give up, and the Kaval Dominion. They want you dead." Arlanis nodded slowly. "Our enemies believe this bond is a curse. They don't understand its true power. We must show them." Marcus frowned. "Show them? How?" She rose from her seat and walked to the weapons console. The Silverwing had an ancient Valari battle core. If we connect our life force to it through the bond, we can unleash power beyond anything these fleets have ever seen. Marcus shook his head. "Sounds dangerous. We don't even know if the core still works." Arlanis looked at him steadily. "It will, but it will cost us both. We must share everything, our blood, our energy, become one with the ship." Preparing for battle. Inside the Corvette's main chamber, the battle core stood like a glowing crystal, humming with latent energy. Arlanis approached it carefully, placing her hands on the cool surface. Marcus felt a sudden pulse through the bond, her heartbeat matching his own, faster and stronger. He stepped forward, joining her, their hands touching the core together. A bright light surged, filling the room with warmth and power. The ship's hull vibrated as the ancient machine awakened. "Are you ready?" Arlanis asked. Marcus took a deep breath. "Let's do this." The power unleashed. The Shadowhawk blasted out of the nebula with a roar, cloaking disengaged. Ahead, the massive Kaval Dominion fleet waited, hundreds of ships in tight formation. Marcus took control, guiding the Corvette in daring maneuvers. The battle core glowed brighter with every pulse of their combined life force, feeding the engines. Weapons and shields, plasma cannons flared. The Shadowhawk became a streak of light, faster and stronger than any ship around. Enemy vessels fired relentlessly, but their shots bounced off the energized shields like pebbles. Arlanis fired the ship's ancient weapons, her voice calm yet fierce. "We are not prey," she said through the comm. The Shadowhawk pierced the enemy lines like a comet, taking out key command ships and communication relays. Turning the tide, the Kaval fleet faltered, confused by the sudden strength of the lone Corvette. Some ships tried to regroup, but the Shadowhawk was everywhere at once, dodging, striking, disappearing into the void. Marcus felt the bond pulling him deeper, his body stronger, reflexes sharper. He realized their blood bond was now a weapon and a shield. "Arlanis," he said, "we can win this." She smiled, golden eyes shining. "Together, nothing can stop us." The return to Valari Prime, with the Kaval Dominion fleet broken, and fleeing, Marcus and Arlanis set course for Valari Prime. News of their victory spread quickly. The Valari people watched in awe as the princess returned. Not broken, but stronger, bonded forever with a human warrior. At the royal court, the High Council prepared for their arrival, torn between fear and hope. Marcus stood beside Arlanis as they entered the grand hall, greeted by silence. The Emperor himself stepped forward. "You have done what many thought impossible," he said, his voice heavy with meaning. "You saved my daughter and changed the fate of our people. A new beginning." The Emperor declared Marcus blood-kin of the throne, making him a prince of the Valari Empire and a hero of Earth. The bond between Marcus and Arlanis became a symbol of unity between two worlds once divided by fear and misunderstanding. Together, they vowed to build a new future, a future where humans and Valari would fight side by side, not against each other.